got a little treat for you guys. This is a treat for me too. Another one of my favorite Palestinian poets is in the house. Though not perhaps quite as well known as Mahmoud Darwish. But this young brother right here, I had the opportunity of meeting, I think for the first time it was a couple years ago in North Carolina. And he's just an incredible poet. He was part of a group of poets in North Carolina who were coming together to basically travel the Middle East and write poetry about the experiences that they were seeing and hearing from people firsthand. It's called Poetic Portraits of a Revolution. And one of them has moved here to San Diego and ended up sitting right next to me in the audience. So I told him that when I was going to get up on stage, I was about to give him the microphone. Be ready. His name is Muhammad Musa, and I would like for him to come up and share a little piece with you guys. Okay. There's a stand right there. I'm glad you're bringing that up here. I wanted to. Thank you. Round of applause from Hamza.
While we're setting up here, first of all, thank you so much, Omar. What I love about Omar is that he always loves to share the stage with people. Even in North Carolina, he would come up and he'd have all these local artists come up and perform either before, during, or after his performance. Very briefly, in 2011, myself and 3 other young artists in North Carolina, we embarked on a journey. We saw all of these movements that were taking place in Egypt and in Tunisia. And we were very inspired by those movements that were taking place. And so were many of the people here, I'm sure, and many people all over America and the world. So what we wanted to do, the idea was very briefly, to use spoken word poetry as well as photography and videography to capture the human and emotional element behind these movements and bring it back. So often, that's the element that's lost. A lot of times when there is news taking place all over the world, overseas, or even down the street, we get these zoomed out images of very large conflict. And we use those zoomed out images, we use those sound bites, we use the one picture that we see of a violent protest, and we take those to try to misunderstand entire groups of people, and a lot of times that fails, and we misunderstand entire groups of people. So we went there, we talked to people, we interviewed them. I wish I could share one of the pieces that we wrote there, but I wrote it with the other poets who are not here today. Spoken word is very much a two-way street. If you hear something you like, you can snap, you can clap, you can say whatever you want. Today I'll be performing something that's more of a general reflection on what took place. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a revolution. It was found in a tin time capsule tucked away under the bed right next to nostalgia, old photographs, and what ancestors said. Have you ever inhaled the words of a grandmother as she watches all the pain unfold on TV screens where every newscast is the same? Politicians spewing nonsense, riot police taking aim. She curses oppression as her memories come out to play their game. Flashback. Flashback to her only son and how they took him away. No money to buy bread and no receipts to return the shame of not having a country that would listen to what the people say. Have you ever inhaled the calamities in your hands? It chokes like tear gas and stings like police brutality in a hollow shell of your own land. So the people take to the streets, gripping their flags in discontent. Today there is no need to ask where the freedom fighters went. And they're fine with water cannons because they ask for a clean slate. They tell tyrants to get in their cars and have the wheels rotate because this is a revolution. A turn in the book of history ready to write new stages. I just wish there wasn't so much blood on these pages. And I think of how it's easy to inspire millions if you give them purpose because you get tired when they tell you that your existence is worthless. And I apologize for interrupting this broadcast. But the viewers are asleep. They're told they have no purpose and their ideas are theirs to keep. Opinions are called 2 cents, so they think that thoughts are cheap. You see, an oppressor doesn't have to be a dictator sitting in a throne. It can be a mindset that's been planted to alter your comfort zone so it becomes okay for one human to treat 80 million as his own. Okay for citizens to only see what the government has shown, but some have begun to fight back with spirits that refuse to break. There are screams asking for a better life, and those screams can make a palace shake. Some have begun to stand up. So when the ground underneath your feet starts to change, and barbed wire comes undone, understand where that's coming from. Until then, I'll return you to your normal programming.